open yung book ko. Let's start with page chapter 4 pa rin tayo. We will be starting the installment liquidation. So again, just to repeat, no, when we say liquidation, that's the winding up of business. So meaning talagang totally mawawala na yung partnership. So now, pagka mawawala na yung partnership, there are several process and I believe kabisado nyo na kung ano ang ginagawa natin, di ba? What is the first step? Mari Tony, if you still remember, habang hinabubuklat ako. Anong first step sa liquidation? Mary Jane, anong first step natin na ginagawa for liquidation?
Ma'am, realization of non-cash assets po and distribution of gain and losses.
Okay, that's the first thing, no? Magbibenta natin yung ating assets or we called it realization of assets and distribution of gain or any loss. Correct. Then after that, what's next step? Raymond Beso. After we sold, nabenta na natin yung assets, anong susunod na gagawin natin?
Payment of liability po.
Yes, we have to pay the outside, not hindi liabilities lang, no? We just have to tell it outside creditors kasi liability din natin yung loan to partner, di ba? Buksan ko lang. So, pag sinabi natin payment to outside creditors because that's our priority. And then, what's next after payment of liabilities? The last one. Mari Tony, are you there na? Nandiyan ka na?
Ano po, distribution na po nung available cash.
Okay, distribution na ng available cash. Okay, thank you. So now, meron lang mga in-betweens na mga ginagawa natin depending on the situation. Of course, ang mga situation natin is, number one, kapag kulang na, no, or magkaroon ng negative balances, yung partnership balances or partners interest. Pagka ganon, aalamin mo muna if solvent or insolvent. What will we do if yung partner with the negative interest is solvent? Jinim. Anong ginagawa natin?
Ano po, ma'am?
What do we do if nagkaroon na ng negative balance yung partner's interest? Diba? Nagkakaroon ng negative balance. May mga instances na gano'n, right? Now, what are we going to do if a partner has a negative balance after, let's say, after distributing of gain or loss, so realization and after payment of liabilities, what are we going to do next is to settle it, di ba? Settle na natin yung partners' remaining capital. Now, nagkaroon doon ng isang partners with a negative interest or partner's interest. And the partner is solvent. Ano ang gagawin natin?
Additional investment.
Yes, correct. How about if it's insolvent?
Others partners should absorb this deficiency po.
Okay, other partners absorb the deficiency. I forgot, no? Meron pa tayong, what if there is an existing loan? Merong loan yung partner na yon.
Offset po, ma'am.
Yes, we have the right to offset. So, ganun lang siya, kadali. Then, all you need to do is to settle. And how do we settle? Ano ang basis ng settlement natin? Siyempre, yung ending balance na, no? Okay? So, in distributing gain or loss after realization, what do we use? Jenny, Kimerista. Ayesa, ano ginagamit natin if there is a gain or loss? How do we prorate it? Using what?
P&L ratio po.
Yes, correct. Very good. Okay, so kabisado nyo na yung liquidation, no? When it's a lump sum liquidation. Kasi when we say lump sum liquidation, one time, big time mo lang siya nabibenta yung assets. Now, let's move on installment liquidation. Well, actually, class, installment liquidation is just the same as with, the same process din naman siya with lump sum liquidation. So there will be a realization of assets, distributions of gain or loss, payment of outside creditors, and settlement to partners. Kaya lang this time, when we say installment liquidation, yung realization of non-cash assets, extended siya over a period of time. Possible na this month, let's say June, a portion was sold, then the next time will be October. Okay. Actually, yung lump sum, of course, may mga cases na ganon, pero in reality, especially kapag real properties, ang property ng partnership, maliban na lang na makakita ka ng investor na bibili nun, no? In actual scenario, talaga naman ang pagbibenta ng non-cash assets ay staggered. Kumbaga, hindi siya yung one-time, big time. Pero may mga ganon, of course, no? Pero in reality, mostly, especially if, again, it's a real property, hindi ganon kadali. So, possible mabenta mo yung certain property ng May, June, July, etc. That's why we call it installment. Yun lang naman yung kaibahan nun eh. Now, what happened if we sell it on or we have an installment liquidation? Ganun pa rin, class, no? The first thing you will do is to distribute the gain or loss. Then let's pay the outside creditors. So pag nagbayad tayo ng outside creditors, pag kasya na yung pera natin, let's pay all. Siyempre lahat yon. Pero pag kulang, so naka-staggered ulit yun. Mag-aantay tayo ng next sale, next na pagbenta bago natin bayaran ulit yung liabilities. Okay? So that's the only difference, no? So actually on page 4-20, nandiyan, di ba? We have the following procedures. Di ba? Number 1, just the same, realization of non-cash assets and distribution of gain or loss among partners based on P&L ratio. So it's just the same. Second is payment of liquidation expenses and adjustment for unrecorded liabilities. So pag meron, both of these items will be distributed among partners in their profit and loss ratio. Kapag may mga adjustments lang, no? At pag may liquidation expense. Payment of liabilities to outsiders. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, Raymond, no? So it's not just liabilities. Kailangan lagi natin sasabihin, it's outside creditors kasi liability din naman natin yung loan to partner. But of course, you're correct, no? Kasi yun din naman yung logic nun. Kaya lang, we will just be more specific. Then of course, next will be the distribution of available cash. Kasi nga ang nangyari, because it's an installment, possible yung cash mo ngayon will just be 200,000, then the following month, another 150, the following month, another 100. So the question there is, how are you going to distribute it to among partners? Siyempre, hindi mo siya madidistribute ng, kumbaga, ma-full payment mo sila kasi nga kulang pa. So what will you do now is you will make a schedule of safe payments and also what we call the cash priority program. So yun yung dalawang bagay na ginagawa natin for installment liquidation. Aside from dun sa regular table na ginagawa natin, of course you're familiar with the regular table na ginagawa natin, like what we did in problem 11. Okay? So, turuan ko kayo how, of course it's in the book, pero let's try later ng problem 15 para mas madali nyo maintindihan. But before that, I'll explain a little, no? Okay, pag sinabi nating schedule of cash safe payments, so ang ginagawa natin dito is we just get na ano yung safe payments na ibibigay mo with the existing cash available. Ano yung pinaka-safe na bayaran sa partners? Okay, si partners A and B ba? Si A lang? Okay, so, kasi may mga possible na losses yan kapag hindi natin nabenta yung remaining assets. Diba? So, ang gagawin, sino lang ba muna ang pwedeng bayaran? Hindi yun nakikita sa, kasi ito si A, malaki yung capital niya, so siya yung priority. So, it's really depend, no? Depende yun. Or siya dapat yun yung safe na siya bayaran. Another question is, let's say 200 lang yung pera mo, magkano ibabayad mo kay A, kay B, or kay C? Kung kay A lang, buong 200. If hahatiin mo yung 200 kay A ba and B, or A and C, B and C. So, yun yung mga possible na combination ng pwede mong bayaran. Now, when we say cash priority program, from the term itself, no, cash priority program, so we will look, sino ba ang priority bayaran? Okay? Sino ba yung priority bayaran? Si A ba, si B, or si C? Okay? So, yun yung gagawin natin. Of course, kapag kinumpute natin yan, mag-jive yun yung schedule of safe payments and cash priority program. Okay, let's start with the illustration. Then right after the illustration, we will solve problem 15 for you to understand it well. Procedural lang din naman ito. So, yan yung buong partnership. Actually, ito na yung last topic natin for partnership. Okay, I'll read the problem, no? You read with me. So, siguro yung iba nagbasa na, pero for those who did not yet read the lesson, let's read it together. The balance sheet of Christine Gamba, Nancy Mules, and Maria Victoria Mones, partners sharing profits in the ratio of 4:3 respectively, show the following balances on April 30, 2019, just before liquidation. Statement of financial position shown a cash of 315,000 and a non-cash assets of 1,250,000 for a total of 1,565,000. Of course, on the liabilities and capital, we have liabilities of 435,000, loan of Maria Victoria Mones loan 30,000, Gamba capital 600, Mules capital 350, and Mones capital of 150,000 for a total of 1,565,000. In May, part of assets are sold at book value of 300,000. And in June, the remaining assets are sold for 210,000. Okay. So that's it, no? You look on, before we go on the schedule of safe payments, you look on page 4-22. Ito yung first table na ginagawa natin, di ba? Okay? So, balances before liquidation. So, ganyan pa rin naman ginagawa natin. 315, cash, non-cash assets, 1,250, liabilities, etc. And then now, we have the realization of 300,000. 300,000, sabi niya, di ba, in May? So, we have 300,000 sold at book value. Okay, sold at book value, so it's a plus cash of 300,000 and the minus non-cash assets of 300,000. Okay. So, our cash now is 615,000 and our non-cash assets is 950,000. All figures are just the same. Then the next thing we need to do is payment of liquidation expenses, and if there is an adjustment of liabilities, gagawin na natin. At i-charge natin sa capital account based on P&L ratio. But in our problem, walang liquidation expenses and walang adjustment for liabilities. So the next thing we will do now is to pay the outside creditors. So let's pay the outside creditors. Our liabilities to outside creditors is 435,000. So i-minus mo yan sa cash mo. Then your cash now will be 180. Non-cash asset will be 950. Zero liabilities, then all figures stay the same. The question there is now, how are we going to distribute this 180,000? In distributing this 180,000, all you need to do is, okay, all you need to do is to make the schedule of safe payments. Okay? So let's go back on page on page 4-21. If you're still with me, isang thumbs up nga lang. Wala na sila sa... You're not with me. Walang thumbs up. Ayun, meron. Okay, nahuli lang. Okay, let's continue. Now, how are we going to... Thank you. How are we going to do now the schedule of safe payments? In making the schedule of safe payments, ang gagawin lang natin is kukunin natin yung absorption capacity, no? Absorption capacity nung possible losses. Ano ba yung kayang i-absorb nung each partner if ever na hindi natin ibenta yung remaining assets. Okay? The first thing you need to do is to ilagay mo muna lahat ng cash balances or yung capital balances before distribution. It's not cash balances. It should be capital balances before distribution of cash. Okay? So, ilagay mo yung capital balances nila. Gamba is 600, 350 for Mules, Mones for 150. Then, you add the loan balance na liability natin yan for our partners. So, the total partners interest now is for Gamba is 600, 350 for Mules, and 180,000 for Mones. Okay? Now, if ever lang naman, no, na hindi natin mabibenta yung remaining na 950,000, ma'am, saan galing si 950,000? That's the remaining non-cash assets na hindi pa natin nabibenta as of May 31. Kasi as of May, 300 lang yung nabenta natin at book value. That's why may 950 pa. So I hope you get it. Now, this possible loss, no, ang tawag sa kanya is the restricted interest. We called it the restricted interest. These are possible losses if and only if the remaining non-cash assets is or will not be realized. So, if ever hindi na siya mabenta, ano ngayon yung losses mo pa ng partner, sorry. So, all you need to do is to distribute it using the P&L ratio. Take note of under liquidation, laging P&L yan, ano, pag nag-distribute tayo. Okay, using the P&L ratio, 4:3:3, 380 for Gamba, Mules for 285, and 285 for Mones. Okay? You can double check using your calculator. Then the balances after distributing the possible losses now will be 220 for Gamba, 65 for Mules, and Mones for 105. Okay. So 105 now, there is already a negative balance. Diba? May negative balance na si Mones. Kung hindi siya mabibenta yan, so ano ang restricted, meron another restricted interest for additional possible loss, no? Of 105. Kasi possible, okay, under the principle of conservatism, of course, possible naman yan na si Mones kapag solvent, mag-i-invest lang yan. Kung ganyan ang, yan ang true scenario, magka-additional investment siya. But worst case scenario on principle of conservatism, conservative kasi tayo when it comes to accounting, no? Doon tayo sa mas kayang mag-absorb ng loss kaysa isipin natin na solvent siya. Eh, wala namang sinabi sa problem. Kaya ang laging tinitingnan natin, possible na insolvent siya para at least yun na yung pinaka-safe. Because we're getting the safe schedule of safe payment. So the safest way to do it is to absorb the additional loss nung may negative partner's interest, which is Mones. So how are we going to do that again? Using the P&L ratio again. Okay? If ever, hindi na niya kaya talagang mag-additional investment, then the remaining partners will absorb the losses. And 105 divided times 4/7 is 60,000 and 45,000 for Mules. That's 3/7. Okay? Now, the free interest now will be 160 for Gamba and Mules of 20,000. So that's the safest. Ibig sabihin, pwede mo nang bayaran yung ating 180 kanina. Okay? So, we use this schedule of safe payments para ma-distribute mo yung cash na meron ka after the first realization. Okay? So, if you get the problem, just type letter A. Okay, wala. Hindi niya na-gets. Walang nag-type ng letter A. Ayun, meron naman na late lang. Okay. So, siguro delay ang aking signal. Okay, now we already have the distribution or the installment to partners. That's 160 for Gamba and formulas of 20,000. So, cash balance as of May 31 after the payment is 0. Non-cash assets is 950. Mones loan is 30. 440 for Gamba, 330 for Mules, and 150 for Mones. Now on June, di ba, sabi ng problem, in June, the remaining assets are sold for 210,000. So the remaining assets were sold. So all assets were sold. That's why we have the second realization is additional 210,000 cash. Non-cash assets, it's minus 950. Then distribute. Let's distribute the profit and losses. So profit and losses now is equals to 950 minus 210. Magkano ang loss natin? It's 740, which will be divided according to their P&L ratio. Okay, so next. So magkano ang distribute? You can check it using your calculator, no? Para at least makita nyo, no? Na yung nandun sa book, yan na yun. 40% yung Gamba, 30% for Mules, and Mones 30%. So 296, 222, and 222. Then let's get the balance. Cash 210, loans, etc. Okay, there is a negative balance for Mones at this time. Now, ito yung tanong ko kanina, no? Nung nagre-review tayo. What if there is a negative balance for partners' interest? So, ang gagawin mo, you have now the right to offset. So, offset natin si loan. Right to offset by Mones. So, minus 30,000 for loan. Then, offset with the capital. So, our balances as of this time is 210 for cash, 144, 108, and negative 42. Okay, now, how are we going to distribute this 210,000? Okay, in distributing the 210,000, let's get the capital balances of partners. So we have 144, 108, and negative 42. You go back on page 4-21. Okay, so what if that 42,000, no, is, what if Mones is insolvent? So there will be an additional possible loss for the remaining partners, which is 24,000 and 18,000 based again on P&L ratio. So the safest way to do it is you pay 120 to Gamba and Mules of 90,000. Okay, so let's pay. Okay, nabayaran na, di ba? Nabayaran na, 210. So, 120 for Gamba and Mules 18. So, balances now is, cash balance is 0. Gamba is 24 and Mules is 18. Still, Mones is 42,000. Okay? Let's go back with the problem on 4-20. Assume further that partners are solvent. Okay, this time they are solvent. And that any partner who is deficient made appropriate payment on to the partnership on July 31. So because Mones is solvent, so there will be an additional investment of 42,000. So, ayan. So the capital account now of Monis is 0. Gamba is still 24 and 18. Then final installment will be 24,000 for Gamba and 18,000 for Mules. Okay? Of course, wag nating baliwalain din, no, yung journal entries natin. Okay, let's look on our journal entries on page 4-21. On the first realization, sale of non-cash assets is cash, debit cash, credit non-cash assets 300. Then after that, we pay the liabilities. Of course, wala tayong distribution ng gain or loss. Kaya payment of liabilities. After the payment of liabilities, it's a debit to liabilities for 35 and credit cash. Then next is tingnan nyo na yung table. Based sa table, doon na kasi kayo gagawa ng entries ninyo. Next is the payment of our first installment to partners. So let's debit the partners capital account, Gamba 160, Mules 20, and then cash 180. Then next will be the second realization. Of course, we realize it at 210. Then there is yung distribution ng loss natin, di ba? For the loss on realization, it's Gamba 296, Mules and Monis is 222, and cash assets of 950. Then we have the exercise of right of offset. So yung loan, we just offset it with capital. So debit loan, credit capital, 30,000. Then we have the distribution based on the schedule of safe payments for Gamba 120 and for Mules 90. The credit cash 210. Additional investment by partner, debit cash, credit Monis capital 42. And final distribution in July was debit to capital of Gamba 44 and Mules 18 and cash for 42,000. So I hope you get it, no? Okay, next. We'll move on to the cash priority program. O baka gusto nyo gawin muna natin yung problem bago natin puntahan yung cash priority program. So I don't have a table, I'll make a table for you. Okay, sige. Let's have, you read first page 4-56. No, gawa lang ako, mabilis lang ng table for schedule of safe payments for the Excel. Okay? Basahin nyo muna. Mabilis lang. Mabilisan lang. Okay, let's start. So, andyan pa kayo? Are you still there? Kung nandyan pa kayo at pag nabasa niyo na yung ating problem, can you please type yes, no? So we can start now. Can we start now? So you just say yes, no? Okay, can you please read the problem? Mary Jane Agas, no? So habang pakibasa siya, no? Okay, thank you.
Partners Limen, Parducho, and Kalingasan share profits and losses in the ratio of 5:3:2. The partners decided to liquidate the partnership. Their statement of financial position prior to liquidation is asset cash is 400,000, other asset is 2,100,000, total assets of 2,500,000. Liabilities in capital are 2,500,000. The partnership is to be liquidated by installment. The first sale of non-cash assets costing 1,200,000 realized 900,000. Liquidation expenses paid amount to 20,000.
Okay, so thank you. So the question is, how are we going to distribute, how much cash should be distributed to each partner? Okay, of course, the problem tells us what to do, di ba? We are going to make the schedule of safe payments. So, diretso na to class para hindi na ako gagawa ng nung table ng liquidation, okay? So, capital balances before liquidation. So, it's 400,000, tama? 720 for Parducho and Kalingasan, it's 700. Now, any loans from or to partners, meron tayo, di ba, kay Limin. Okay, so for 80,000, right? Okay? Ay, wait. Hindi yan para dyan. Sorry. Dapat ito na agad. Capital balances. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So, hindi natin i-add, no, yung, sa ano kasi yan, sa cash priority program. Okay? So, hindi natin i-add yung loans, no? So, as you can see, dun sa ginawa nating problem, yung nandito kasi is, ito na yung capital balances before cash distribution. So, wait lang, ha? Balikan ko. Yan. Walang loan, no? It's only the capital. So, yan, tama. Capital lang, no? Capital lang. Okay, now, the next thing na ginawa natin is, nagkaroon tayo ng selling or realization of non-cash assets for 900,000 costing 1.2 million. So, meaning, there is a loss of how much? How much ang loss natin?
300,000.
300,000. Thank you for the answer. Okay, how are we going to distribute this 300,000?
5:3:2 po.
Okay, 5:3:2. So, magkano ngayon ang 5:3:2? Magkano kay Limin?
150,000 po.
50. Okay, so mag-encode ako. 150. Kay Parducho?
90,000.
90. And kay Kalingasan?
60,000 po.
Okay, correct. No? So, that's it. Now, let's get the balance. Okay, for Limin, it's 250. For Parducho, it's 630 and 644. Kalingasan. Now, the problem that we have now is we have the liquidation expense of 20,000. So, ito yung sinasabi kanina dun sa procedure that if there is additional liquidation expenses, so, hahatiin natin yan using what? Again? P and L ratio. Okay? So, P&L ratio. So, ngayon, pag gagamitan natin yan ng P&L ratio, magkano ngayon ang distribution? Of course, 50% kay Limen, di ba? Magkano yon? That's
10K po.
10,000. So, 30%. So, madali ito. 6. And 4. Tama ba? For a total of 20,000 liquidation expenses. So, after that, we have our balance of 240,000, 624, and 636. Okay? So, if we're going to make a table, gagawa na nga tayo ng table para makita nyo. Sabi ko, ayokong gagawa. Gagawa na ako, ha? Sabay ko na lang. Para magandang discussion. Okay, so we have balances 400, 2.1. Correct me if I am wrong, ha? Pag may mga natype akong mali, ha? Accounts payable or liabilities, 680. And then, this is 400, 720, and 700. Okay. Gain on realization, magkano na yung kanina? It's 900. Tama ba? 900. 1,000, pero 1,2. Okay, distribution will be okay, then payment of base. Magkano ang distribution? So, parang ganito yung class sa table, no? So, para makita nyo yung presentation sa table.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, pwede pong paano po nung sa Excel po? Pa-zoom po, hindi po mabasa.
Ay, zoom. Okay, okay. Sige, zoom natin.
Thank you po.
Okay na? Konti pa?
Konti pa po, ma'am. Okay na po. Thank you po.
Okay na? Okay, yan. Mas nakikita na. Okay, sige. Let's continue. So, present ko lang sa table ng liquidation yung sale of, yung realization, then payment of liquidation expense. Para at least you know na we consider it first, no, bago yung liabilities. Or pag may adjustment din sa liabilities, ganun din yan. Isisingit mo siya doon. Okay tayo? Okay. Then next is we are going to pay liabilities. Magkano liabilities?
600,000.
Okay. 600. Okay tayo? Nasusundan pa rin? Okay. I-drag ko lang. Okay pa tayo, no? Okay, now, ang tanong natin dito, tanggalin natin. Installment to partners. Actually, class, ito na yung tanong natin. Paano natin i-distribute itong 680,000, di ba? So, yan ang question natin eh. How are we going to distribute among the partners? So, nasusundan. Now, let's move on dun sa schedule of safe payments. So, take note, class, that we have our remaining non-cash assets of 900,000. Okay tayo? So, that 900,000 is, how are you going to distribute possible loss if, okay, let's go back on the schedule of safe payments ha, balik na ako dito. So we have the liquidation expenses. So tama tayo as to balance, di ba, dun sa table. So ito yung portion na to, as you can see. Pareho yung balance dun sa table as to schedule of payments after the realization and after the liquidation expense. So pinakita ko lang sa inyo kasi shortcut kasi yung nasa schedule of safe payments. So kung schedule of safe payments or distribution to partners lang, pwede nyo na itong gawin. Kahit hindi na itong table para ma-shortcut. Diba? Pinakita ko lang to ngayon para nakikita nyo na it's just the same. Now, let's complete for the restricted interest or the possible loss if nothing is realized. So if nothing is realized, our non-cash assets after selling no ng 1.2 million cost of assets, meron pa tayong 900. And how are we going to distribute this 900? Magkano?
450,000 po.
Okay, so we have 450,000 for
Limin.
okay, for Limin. Limin who? Parang ano yan, may Korean. 450. Okay, additional loss is 450 for Limin. Magkano kay Parducho? 30% ng 900. 270. Thank you. And then kay hindi na ako magka-calculator ha. Kayo na lang, i-correct nyo na lang. 180, no? Okay. Then, let's get the balance of these two. Okay. But before this, nakalimutan ko class, I'm so sorry. Meron tayong tinatawag. Okay, pagka ganito na yung magiging balance, kapag ka nagkaroon ng negative balance, no, we can make use of the right to offset. Okay? So, pwede nating i-add yung loan dito kay Limin, especially, no? So, dito ko siya i-add pala. Loan. Okay, nasundan nyo to now. So magkano ang kasunod niya? It's 240 plus 80. Tama ba si Limin? Si Limin ang may loan, di ba? For 80,000. So 80,000 Limin loan. Now, 320, 624, and 636. Minus 450, magkano? Tama ba to? Ay, mali. Okay, it's negative 130. Tama ba to? 130.
Yes.
54, 456. Siyempre, drinag ko na lang, no? Okay, now there is a negative 130. So, just in case na hindi ulit mabenta, di ba? Kasi dito, kung ilalagay nga natin itong hindi natin mabibenta yung 900, so i-absorb nila. Diba? So, ganun yun. So, ang mangyayari, pag i-absorb nila, magkano ngayon dito? 30-20. O, paki-divide nyo, magkano dito?
78,000 po.
Okay, thank you. Ito kay Kalingasan.
52,000 po.
Okay, thank you. Next. So, that's it. And then 1/3. Okay, and then of course, let's add. So, how much will be our safe payments? 276,000 and 404,000. So, for a total of 680,000. So, that's how are we going to distribute it. Okay? So, hanggang doon lang yung problem, no? Kasi wala nang second installment. Okay, nakuha natin? Okay, now let's move on. If okay tayo, thumbs up na lang ulit tayo for problem 17. Then we will move on cash priority program. Okay, thank you. Next, cash priority program. When we say cash priority program, again, from the name itself, the priority program. So, kapag may cash na, sino yung priority bayaran? Okay, let's move on. So, just take note, no? On page 4-24, sabi niya dito, this program or the cash priority program, which is prepared at the start of the liquidation process, will help the partners project when they can expect to be included in the cash distribution. So, malalaman mo, ikaw ba yung, si A ba yung priority, si B or si C. Okay? If the program is prepared, any amount of cash received from the realization of assets may be paid immediately to partnership creditors and later the partners as specified in the program. This program is okay. Okay, let's have the illustration. Sabay-sabay tayong magbasa ulit, no? Cecil Laguna, Maria Concepcion Manalo, and Rosemary Espanyol divide profits of 60, 25, and 15% respectively. A balance sheet on June 30, just before partnership liquidation, showed the following balances: for cash for 50, non-cash for 925, liabilities 350, Laguna Capital 450, Concepcion Manalo 100, and Rosemary Espanyol 75 for a total of 975,000. Certain assets are sold in July at book value of 500,000 and available cash is distributed